Look into this eye. What do you see? If you are honest, you don't see an animal. You see a self. You see curiosity, judgment, perhaps even a warning. For centuries, we called them our cousins, but that word is too gentle. We share 98.8% of our DNA with this creature, but that 1.2% difference, it isn't what makes us human. It is what makes them the most terrifyingly efficient primate on Earth. This is the true story of the chimpanzee. Not the cute diaper-wearing prop from old television. Not the gentle vegetarian myth. This is the story of a creature built for war, wired for politics, and strong enough to rip your thumb off with one hand while comforting its crying infant with the other. Welcome to the insane biology of pan-troglodytes. Let's start with the myth you've all heard. A chimp is 5 times stronger than a man. Is that true? Not exactly. The reality is stranger. Pound for pound, a chimpanzee's skeletal muscle generates about 1.35 times the force of a human's. That doesn't sound like much, but biology is about leverage, not just brute force. Look at the architecture of the chimp. Your average human male has a power-to-weight ratio optimized for endurance. We have long legs, a narrow waist, and the gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in the body, designed to keep us upright. The chimpanzee? The chimpanzee is a dragster, a coiled spring.
While we evolved for the marathon, chasing antelopes until they collapsed from heat exhaustion, the chimp evolved for the explosion. They have roughly double the proportion of fast-twitch muscle fibers as a human sprinter. But the real secret isn't the muscle. It's the attachment. In humans, our muscles are anchored far from our joints to allow for fine motor control. We can thread a needle because our system prioritizes range of motion over leverage. In chimps, the muscle tendons attach much closer to the joint. This gives them a mechanical disadvantage for delicate work. They can't throw a baseball accurately, but it gives them an astronomical advantage in raw pulling force. That viral video of a chimp bending a steel bar, it's not rage, it's geometry. A 130-pound female chimpanzee can pull with over 800 pounds of force. A male, over 1,200. That means if you arm wrestle a chimp, you aren't lifting his arm. You are trying to lift a hydraulic press. And because their thumb is short, unable to touch the ring finger, they don't grab you. They hook you. If a chimpanzee grabs your hand, you do not pull away. The skin will stay. The bone will come out. That is the first law of chimpanzee physics.
To understand the mind, we must walk in the bones. The chimpanzee skeleton is a masterclass in compromise. They are not fully arboreal, and they are not fully terrestrial. They are the commandos of the treetops. Look at the shoulders. Human shoulder sockets face out to the sides. Chimp shoulder sockets face upward. This allows them to hang their entire body weight from a single arm without locking the joint, a function called suspensory locomotion. Watch one move. It looks gangly, awkward. But this is knuckle walking. They curl their long fingers under, placing their weight on the middle knuckles. Why? To protect the long, curved finger bones, the power grip bones. When they walk on the ground, they are essentially walking on their fingernails. And the feet? Look at the feet. A human foot is a rigid arch, a springboard for running. A chimp's foot is a hand. The big toe is opposable, stuck out to the side like a thumb. When a chimp stands up, which they do often for up to 15 minutes at a time, they aren't almost human. They are a hand-footed monster balancing on 2 flattened pillars. They can carry a rock in one hand, a baby in the other, and move through the mud at a speed that would make a rugby player weep. For a century, we described the chimp as a frugivore, a fruit eater, a gentle gardener of the forest. We were wrong. We were projecting our own agricultural bias onto them. Jane Goodall,
shattered that illusion in 1960 at Gombe Stream. She watched a chimpanzee named David Graybeard stick a twig into a termite mound. Tool use. Then she watched him eat the termites. Omnivore. But the real terror came later. Chimpanzees are hunters. They hunt colobus monkeys with military precision. But here is the biological twist. They don't hunt because they are starving. They hunt for status. A male chimp will stalk a monkey for an hour. When the attack comes, it is silent. 4 males surround the tree. One climbs. The monkey jumps. A male below springs 6 feet vertically, no run-up, catches the monkey in mid-air and slams it to the ground. The kill isn't a bite to the neck. It is dismemberment. They eat the prey alive, starting with the brain, because the brain is rich in DHA, the fatty acid that fuels their own massive brains. And that brings us to the meat of the issue, literally. The chimpanzee brain is not the largest, but it is the most socially dense. They have a neocortex ratio second only to humans and dolphins. This isn't for math. It isn't for poetry. This neocortex is for betrayal. To survive as a chimp, you don't need to be the strongest. You need to know who owes you a favor, whose mother is sick, and who is sleeping with the alpha's sister. The chimpanzee brain is a biological supercomputer running one operating system: politics. Grooming. It looks like love. It feels like love. But biology doesn't care about feelings. Grooming is the currency of the chimpanzee state. When Chimp A grooms Chimp B, he is not cleaning him. He is buying a vote. He is investing in an alliance for the next raid. Scientists have mapped the social networks. They follow the same power law as human stock markets and terrorist networks. Chimps have theory of mind. They know that you know something that they don't know. In captivity, a subordinate chimp will hide a rock if a dominant chimp is watching. But if the dominant chimp hasn't seen the rock, the subordinate will casually walk over to the hiding spot and retrieve it without looking suspicious. That is tactical deception. That is lying. But biology has a dark side. The same wiring that allows for coalition building allows for genocide. In the 1970s, the Gombe Chimpanzee War lasted 4 years. A community split in 2. The males from the larger group systematically patrolled the border of the smaller group. They didn't raid for food. They raided for territory. When they found a male from the rival group, they didn't just fight. They performed a brutal blitz. They held the victim down, one holding each limb, one holding the head, while the alpha bit chunks out of the victim's neck and groin until he bled out. They tore the flesh off a living, screaming creature that used to be their friend. This is not human evil. This is chimpanzee biology. The drive to control the periphery, the instinct to annihilate the other. And if that sounds familiar to you, that is the 1.2% difference screaming in your ear. We talk about the males because the males are loud, but the biological miracle of the chimp is the female. A female chimpanzee gives birth every 5 to 6 years, the longest birth interval of any land animal except humans. Why? Because the infant is helpless. Chimpanzee babies are born with a brain half the size of an adult brain, similar to humans. They cannot grasp, they cannot hold on. For the first 3 months, the mother must literally hold the infant with one hand while climbing 100 feet into the trees. This is the most dangerous time. The mother is vulnerable. Males have been known to kill infants to bring the mother back into estrus, a strategy called sexual selection infanticide. So how does the mother survive? Biology gave her a weapon: deception. Female chimps have a swelling of the perineal skin when they are in estrus. It is a clear, visible signal to males: mate with me. But the female chimp has learned to fake it. She will mate with a low-ranking male in secret, then walk past the alpha male with a false swelling, pretending she is still fertile. She is playing the long game.
She is protecting her bloodline, not with violence, but with intelligence. The average female chimp will outlive the alpha male by a decade. She doesn't win the battles. She wins the war. There is a famous experiment. You put a red dot on a chimp's forehead. You show them a mirror. They touch the dot. They know it's them. They have self-awareness. But here is the question the experiment doesn't answer. What does the chimp think when it sees itself? Does it see a tool user? A killer? A mother? A politician? Or does it see us? We are obsessed with the 98.8% similarity. We want them to be almost human so we can feel less alone in the universe. But the 1.2% difference is a chasm. That 1.2% gave us language. It gave us the atomic bomb. It gave us cathedrals. And it gave us the moral choice to protect the chimp or destroy them. Because here is the insane truth about the biology of the chimpanzee. They are strong enough to kill us. They are smart enough to trick us. But they are not evolved enough to stop us. The chimpanzee is a snapshot, a living fossil of our past, a war machine of muscle and malice, wrapped in a fur coat, holding a twig like a scepter. When you look into that eye, you aren't seeing an animal. You are seeing the ghost of what we used to be. Before we learned how to lie to ourselves,